Hey guys, how's it going? It is the, what the hell are we on now? The 16th? I can't even read that. Oh, it says it right. You could probably see that better than I can.
It is the 16th.
It is the 16th. Amazing. Amazing. I don't know if I put that in the YouTube channel or if I'm off.
I don't think you did.
I did something. I know I changed something, but I could be a day off for all I know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't see. I'm going blind as it is. You're turning into a cripple. Yay. Yeah, right. Well, you better get your chair and your computer ready and start doing something. Because you're going to need to make some money. Real money, not this fake money. So, yeah, we got, last night, my son was upstairs, and he joins me now, because I think it's important that Scott's got some interesting ideas, and for what I'm talking about here, and I really want people to get behind this. Unfortunately, I don't know if that many people are still here, or people think I'm full of it, or uninspired, which I kind of am uninspired, to be honest. But as I said last night, I'm really starting to get bored. I'm getting bored of watching YouTube. I had been getting bored of Run 8 for the longest time. Now, I still enjoy it, but something in my gut keeps telling me I can do better. Now, I'm not saying I can make a 3D simulator. I cannot. I cannot top what Run 8 is as a train simulator, and I've already said that. I'm not even going to attempt to try it at my skill level or even interest level at this point. But I posted this over on the Railroad Transportation Simulator.wikia.com. I don't know how long that's going to last, because they keep telling me, over the next few weeks, we are migrating your community's domain to fandom.com. Find out more. I don't want to find out more. Maybe I should have got a real forum all along. Instead of this Wikia that's supposed to be on superheroes or something. I have no idea, but it was Wikia, that it turned into fandom, and now it's turning into Marvel Comics. I don't know what it's, I don't know what it's turning into. Oh, it's going to fandom.com. Okay, well, it's been fandom for a while. It used to be Wikia. I liked it. It was just a Wikia. And then somehow it became fandom. I'm like, well, why is it fandom? I'm not a superhero fan. Are you a superhero fan?
No,
you did this. It's your fault.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault. So, I posted a message in basically what had happened was my little page from Emmett's mom came from upstairs, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess it's time to end the live stream, which I did very abruptly. And then I found out, oh, he wants to stay up here for 15 more minutes. I'm like, well, why are you calling? I could have done the live stream for 15 more minutes. I'm not worried about, Emmett and I, it's really weird now, because I don't know if this has to do with you being sick or what, or if this is going to, but it's an interesting dynamic, because Emmett seems to, you said when I moved here, he says, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to go, I'm going to be able to come and go as I please, or something like that. And so far, is it working out the way you expected?
Roughly.
Roughly?
Mm-hmm.
If that pizza box is in the way, you can just kick it off. It's not going to hurt you. All right. Just like the old place. Except you had crumbs all over the couch this morning.
Oh yeah, I realized that.
Yeah, you should have picked some of that up and threw it in the garbage here. So just leaving it there. Now it's probably all over. But anyways, then I have to vacuum. I really don't. That's the other place I think I gotta do here is vacuum, because there's a carpet. That sucks. I liked it get better when I used to be able to sweep the floor. Because well, I don't know. It's okay. I'm very comfortable here. I think you like it down now that I'm here, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So, anyways, Emmett's mommy's out because I went to get some groceries, and then he stayed home alone. He's been out of school for more than 4 weeks now. Has it been more than 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's Tuesday it's 5.
Tuesday's going to be 5?
Yeah.
Eek. But he got his doctor to finally give him a note at least so that he can go back. His doctor, I'm not too sure about, but anyways, whatever. It's he wants the time not to stress out and be able to recover because, I mean, our weekends are getting pretty boring, and for both of us, I think more so me than you. I think.
Yeah, probably.
You seem to be captivated by sitting on your butt watching YouTube all day. I can't. I just start going. It's like YouTube used to be just an entertainment source for me. Then I'd have time with my son, and then I'd play video games, and then I would do Run 8. Run 8 has become less and less of a thing for me. Now, I'm trying to get our times together with Scott, but what's happening is you seem to like to come down at between 8 and 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you can come at between 6 and 7, too.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay, well, maybe... Actually, you know something? You were trying 6 to 7 with your... you do that on Mondays anyways, don't you?
Yeah, I do that on Mondays.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not so bad. So Mondays... just for Scott, I know Scott's watching. So why you do what you want? Just so we know, so Scott and I can plan. If Scott, you're listening, I know Scott likes watching the news between 5 to 7. He likes watching fake news. I gotta bug him. Fake news. Yeah, I don't have much use for the news, but anyway, news anyways. But that don't mean nothing. Yeah, it's nice to be informed too, but I try to inform myself on the internet and as much as possible. I don't know. I think there's too many agendas out there, but I won't get political and I won't get. And no, I don't think Donald Trump is perfect by any means. I think there's a lot of things he's doing wrong. But anyways, I don't want to get political. I think all politicians are crooked in many ways. And that includes Trump. But yeah, I try to inform myself as much as I can with YouTube, but it gets so overwhelming that I can't. I really can't. I get so much truth handed to me that it's just like it gets depressing, and I kind of get away from it because there's only so much that I can do, and I don't want to depress Emmett. And Emmett doesn't want to be depressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll try to look on the bright side and see what we can do. So this post, as I said, I put on the forum in kind of as an ad. I think I posted it immediately following the YouTube video because what you've expressed to me, Emmett, is that you're interested in developing.
Certainly.
Certainly. You have more interest in programming than I do. But I'm the one with the knowledge and you want to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
You serious?
Yeah.
All right. You say a lot of things. You say you want to get this video game, and then you get bored of it afterward. Well, you're a kid. No, I mean, okay. Here. Let's look at my desktop, cluttered with crap. Let's see if we can make. And people have said, "Oh my God, your desktop." Now, let's start with a recycle bin. Now, I'm not going to put everything in the recycle bin. I'm not even going to tell them. Action, I probably could put into the recycle bin. Planet Base, we were playing that up to a couple of weeks ago, and you don't seem too interested. Now, you like the Crew 2 is still. You still seem interested in me running that, which I got before Planet Base, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Crew 2's got a little bit more eye candy, and it's... Planet Base is more of a strategy game, and we're kind of coming towards the... But then there's other types of planets, but you can see the repetitiveness coming into it.
That's the one thing that was like...
Yeah. So, and yeah, I know I'm going through my different things, but Google Earth Pro's mine. Epic Games has another whole whack of crap.
Oh, Fortnite.
Well, no, we're not into Fortnite. No, thank you. Next car game, that was just a demo, but it was fun. We played that when we're really, really bored. Euro Truck Simulator is something you've mentioned a few times, and that's one you can go back to. There's nothing wrong with Euro Truck Simulator. There really isn't. Train Dispatcher 3, I haven't really touched it since last year. It's kind of the inspiration, but I know there's going to be work involved. See, this is the problem with me. I know there's going to be work involved. I know there's going to be work involved, and that goes through my head when you work. And I like my job for the most part. But despite that, I look forward to the weekends where I don't have to work. I don't have to worry about getting up at a certain time. I don't have to worry about much responsibility of anything. So I don't lie, at lunch or whatever and sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I gotta develop this because I really love programming. I can't stand. I shouldn't say I can't stand programming, but I really don't like programming. I may like it more than work, especially if I got paid, but. Yeah. It was a career I don't know why I got into, quite frankly. But I think the problem with it is it can be mentally stressing to program, and it can hurt my brain, and I don't like that. Blender has got something to do with programming. It's more of a graphics thing, so it's got nothing. So far, it's got nothing to do with you. If I was to go into my Steam account, that's where... Do I have to show my login credentials if I log in?
Probably.
Nah. Is that Steam? No, that's AutoClean. What the hell's Steam?
Did we close it down? I think we might have...
It's in there. I didn't close it down.
It's not in there.
It's not in there? No, that's Skype.
That's Skype. Okay.
Well, what the hell?
I have no idea.
I didn't close it down.
It's up there, but up by Euro Truck, but down to...
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, well... I want to launch Steam for a second, because I want to show you all the things that Emmett wanted. All the things that Daddy bought him. Run as administrator? Or am I already running?
Don't think so.
Fishing Planet. Oh, that was another one.
That one was good for a while.
Future Pinball. We played that for a bit. But see, eventually, though, you get bored of it.
Fishing Bear at Sea, I warned you. I warned you on Fishing Bear at Sea.
You warned me about Fishing Bear at Sea. Yes, you did. But RT2 we did for a long time. Not to be confused with that's Railroad Tycoon 2. That one lasted for a while.
Yeah, it was good.
I think everything.
I
think eventually you still play it.
I still play RT2 every once in a while.
Wow. See, now that's interesting. So I'm just loading up Steam here for a second because I want to show you my catalog of crap. There it is. City Skyline, I was the one that said no.
Yeah, you were the one that said no on that
But
one.
You like it. See, this is where
I
if anybody can tell me, can I gift games to my son, or does he have to buy it? Can I give you a game out of my catalog so that it goes on your
computer? You can gift it, yeah, I think so.
Are you sure?
I'm not honest. I honestly don't know, but it might be.
Store page, DLC, community guide, support. Games. I just want to get rid of it because it sucks. Oh, wait a minute. Here. Play game, view news. I don't want to view news because it sucks. Add to favorites. Create desktop shortcut. Backup game. Uninstall? Well, what happens then?
You basically just uninstall it.
Yeah, but it's mine. I bought it.
Yeah, I don't think you get... I don't know. I do not know.
Okay. I gotta find out on Google anyway. So the Crew 2's... a lot of people say it's not the best, and they criticize it. Compared to... What is it? Forza?
Minecraft.
No, not Minecraft.
I'm
Minecraft!
Can I derp first? I was thinking Creativerse you were comparing.
Yeah, Creativerse sucks.
Yeah, Forza Horizon.
You still like Creativerse, though?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I do. Now, Derail Valley. This is one I've talked about, I think, on the channel. It's still very early. Now, this is... That thing don't work for me anyways, because it's the VR. Huh?
It's VR.
Well, no, yeah, but there's a 2D version of it. Yeah. Farming Simulator. Oh my God, we both thought we were gonna get into that one, and then that didn't last. Fishing Planet. Yeah, updated pause because nobody cares. Fishing Barents Sea.
I warned you.
Fishing Barents Sea, I go back into every now and then. I really like it. It's just it becomes repetitive after a while. You get the one boat, you get the other boat, and then you only have a certain amount of world, and that's it. Galactic Junk League, I could care less. That was a free thing, anyways.
Oh, that was
Microsoft Flight Simulator X. Now here, I can't believe that I was into that again, because when I was younger, I used to like it. And Miss Survival, I actually liked, but Emmett became disinterested in it, and because
I'm iffy with it. So
but I couldn't. For me, just playing it by myself wasn't fun. So no, I was like, Planet Base I still like. Real Pool 3D, you and I used to do that.
Yeah, we used to play, yeah.
When we did multiplayer together. But other than that, I mean, it's a game you can always go back to. It's... Hell, we were playing... What the hell were we playing? Card game were we playing?
I think it was...
No, the card game. You're Big Bertha.
Oh, yeah.
You and I were just playing a game of cards the other day. Russian fishing's kind of interested. But... why is Stranded Deep giving me a why is Stranded Deep giving me a... I see, this is my brain. What is Stranded Deep?
Stranded Deep is the, I don't know how to explain it. Stranded Deep's the island game with the raft and the one that was teased for multiplayer but hasn't got it yet. The one with the plane crash where you have to survive on the island and yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's not raft, but it's better.
Yeah, it's kind of... You have to survive on an island, and you remember the compass, and you go places in the boss fights, and like. Okay,
so it's better. It's kind of raft, but better because it has islands. Okay, yeah.
Well, raft has islands.
You were actually interested. We were into that for a while.
Oh, we were. Yeah, that game was well worth it. Subsistence as well.
Subsistence. I don't know what happened with you.
See,
Subsistence.
I was thinking of getting back into it to Subsistence.
Oh, okay.
I've been thinking about it because I'm
Survival
starting to really miss it.
Survival is new. I like the open world type thing, but it's kind of weird.
Too, but I feel like I want to wait until it has more development.
Tower 3D is cool, except it's limited, then it becomes very repetitive, and then you got to buy add-ons, and it's not it. Nah.
Like LAX costs like $70.
No. You can play at LAX.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
I thought that was an add-on.
No. Maybe some more content for it's an add-on. I don't know. Transport Fever. Now this is one you would probably still play.
I would definitely still play Transport Fever.
Which is interesting because I could always gift that to you because I could care less about it.
I would definitely play Transport Fever.
Victory: The Age of Racing. You and I did for a while.
Yeah, it was free.
Look at that! I went into the VR. Derail value. Can I uninstall that? Uninstall here. Let's uninstall that crap.
Uninstall that. You've played 2 minutes.
Okay, so this is delete.
Yes.
So when you delete something, it doesn't give, hey, do you want to give this to your friend? Especially, no, I didn't buy it, but...
I don't think it gives that, no.
So, buyers beware. You buy the game for yourself, and, because there's games here that at least I don't know which one would you want out of all that?
Definitely Transport Fever.
Transport Fever, yeah. So and this takes me back to, but again, we've gone through some of these various games. Okay, NASCAR. I tried that for a while. We tried Starborn. We both ran it. I suppose
It just requires too much time. Starborn. It's fun, but
Eve we did for a bit.
Eve was.
Yeah, there's Stranded Deep. Yeah, with the old
raft.
The raft. That's right. Okay, I remember the raft.
That was a very fun game.
That was fun.
We haven't played it in like 4 years.
Yeah, but it was gonna get repetitive after a while. We never unlocked Subsistence.
Joe
We
Eats
haven't.
Fish. That's why I should have reminded you with it.
Yes. No. Joe Eats Fish was the yes, but Subsistence was actually the one that I could continue to do because the developer gives a lot of updates, which is a really, really cool when developers do that. Mm-hmm. Run 8, for example, used to do a lot of that around version 1. We were spoiled because by the time version 2 came around, we didn't get much updates, quite frankly. Which I kind of mentioned in the last video, but anyways, enough of our catalog of games. This is the reason why I bring that up is because if I'm going to spend money or spend time or whatever, the biggest thing that has held me back from doing anything RTS development wise is because of Run 8 version 3. And Run 8 version 3, I know a lot of you people out here are, I've been accused of being a fanboy for Run 8 for ages. But I've also, at the same time, have been looked at as a thorn in the side, PITA, you name it, for Run 8 because I constantly call out on their policies. And I'm sorry to say, their community involvement sucks. It really sucks, and it's irritating. I understand. Nobody's asking them to, yes, of course we all want it, but we just want to know what's happening. And I know everybody has a life, and it's a small team. I've heard the small team crap. Look at me. I've been criticized for wanting to do something and quitting something and all this other stuff. Well, guess what? I got a full-time job. I got my son to entertain, who doesn't like Run 8. So, for me, yeah, I want to see what version 3 does, because version 3 could easily make version 2 obsolete. So I'm going to wait to the end of version 2. That's kind of like going into the stock market at the very top, like a lot of people are doing right now, or close to it. And then the recession's coming, and suckers, you lose all your money. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Oh, you do?
So,
Really? You're that smart?
mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. You better get back to school, or else you're going to become dumb. Yeah. See, he sounds fine right now because he's nice and comfy on the couch and just sitting there. Yeah, you haven't even coughed yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Usually if I said the word cough, you'd start coughing. Oh, you're getting your bronchitis is definitely getting better. I think it's almost gone. You just get into when you're stressed out. That's when it comes back. So you want to program, Emmett?
Yes.
Try to explain to everybody, and me again, what it is about Run 8 that's missing.
Well,
for you.
I like the economic side. I like the tycoon, I guess, part to games, but I don't feel like it doesn't. There's no game that really fulfills it other than maybe the RTS series, like Railroad Tycoon series.
But what is Transport Fever? Does that even fulfill it?
Transport Fever fulfills it to a certain point.
Right.
But I would have wished that there's yards and stuff that basically shift around the way. Instead, it's just stations.
Well, nobody really has a yard. Even Transport Tycoon doesn't have yards.
Railroad Tycoon, yeah. That's why.
Or sorry, Transport Fever.
Yeah, Transport Fever, Railroad Tycoon.
None of them do.
In mods it does, but I feel like it doesn't fulfill what it actually should. In industries and in Railroad Tycoon are unfulfilling to me, I'd say. But same with Transport Fever. I find them somewhat fulfilling, but I feel like it's not very fulfilling because it just shows up at a station all of a sudden. It's like it's made and then it's at a station. Yeah,
and then it's at a station and then it goes because they focus heavily on the economics and the business side and the production tree, what they call the production tree. So you're dealing with raw materials. Wood makes planks. Buildings and planks, yeah, and
planks are shipped to cities to make more passenger production.
Yeah.
Passengers shipped to different cities to make tourism and more development in other cities.
So here's the thing: we live in an age right now where I guess in our era, railroads are on a decline. And I suppose even you know, me being in my 40s, railroads were already on a decline in the 70s when I was growing up. I used to see some quite a bit of different colors, where be Penn Central, Conrail, V&O, Chesney System, CN, of course, CP. There was St. Lawrence and Hudson in the area. I already said Conrail, of course. Conrail was the big one. We used to have, where I lived in Niagara Falls, which is just to the east of here. I actually work in Niagara Falls right now, but I grew up in Niagara Falls. And what happened there was in that city, and this is probably a lot of people can relate to, we had a yard on the south side of town, which was where I was growing up. So I was actually a bicycle, or even a walk if necessary, a bike ride away from the yard where the Conrail police always kicked me out, and I'd always go back and get in trouble by them, and they'd kick me out again. I don't think I ever got arrested. No, I never got arrested as a kid, or reported, or I don't think my parents ever found out I was getting into so much trouble. But yeah, I'd always go in there because that was the only way to see the action. You know, I didn't want to see it from the outside, and I didn't want to see it from a railroad crossing. So yards are very difficult to see the action. You especially some that are secluded by trees, which this one was. It was Montrose Yard. That line is now practically an industrial spur, but it was part of a major extension or branch of the Penn Central. Originally the Penn Central, and then became the Conrail. So that's part of the a branch of an extension that came across. It was all part of New York Central, Penn Central. It used to stretch a straight line. If you guys are familiar with the lakes, basically there was a line that came out of Windsor, Detroit, called the what do I call it? The Canpa? No, I can't. Ball? No, what am I talking about?
I know what you're saying.
Queso, Canada Southern. Sorry. I forgot the Canada Southern. It was called at one point. I never saw it. It was probably before me, but it was. I don't think there was ever. I don't know if there was ever a Canada Southern engine. I can't remember, but it was the Canada Southern. So they call it the Queso. And Conrail ran it. It was as part of an extension of their Penn Central system through Canada. And what it was a big shortcut for trains getting from New York, Buffalo, Western New York, from passageways off to the East Coast of the United States. They would run their traffic straight across the border. This was before 9/11. This was before all kinds of regulations. Trains would run basically straight across, either via the Niagara Branch, because Niagara Falls, New York was a booming industrial town. It's now at one time was 4 times the size, I think, of Niagara Falls, Ontario. Now Niagara Falls, Ontario was twice the size of Niagara Falls, New York, because of the tourism industry and the decline of industries in general in North America. So it used to come across, and we had the Niagara Branch, which basically ran through Niagara Falls, or went to a beeline to Niagara Falls to hit all the industries. So it saw a lot of traffic. I don't know how much the southern port or the big trunk line got, but the trunk line went right from Buffalo, Fort Erie, straight line, literally a straight line across to Detroit, as straight as you can get. Whereas today, most of all the traffic takes the water level route, or whatever the hell they call the former New York Central, now divided up between CSX and Norfolk Southern. They have to run through a lot of populated areas like Cleveland. There's more, Erie. It's not so populated, but Erie, Cleveland, up through Toledo, all that other stuff. They to get through Chicago, they have to go through quite a bit of slowdown. So it's not as fast as it used to be, but intermodal traffic also changed everything because the tunnel at Windsor, Detroit, was not built for. It's still there and it's still used by Canadian Pacific, but it was not high enough for the double stack intermodals. Whereas the Sarnia Tunnel is Sarnia Port Huron, which is what CN uses today. But anyways, that line's the point of what I'm saying is all these lines eventually came into decline, and so did the industries that used to serve. Niagara Falls, Ontario used to have a fair amount of industries as well, which I've seen from my own eyes them declining. So the fact that things are declining, I would hate to model this era. I love this era for many things. I love this era for some of the motive power, the technology, but I don't like this era because it's always been in decline. Like, you've never seen a caboose in operation.
Nope.
No. You've seen a caboose. Have you ever seen a caboose on a train?
Oh yeah, I have.
You have?
I have.
Where?
Not in operation, but I have.
Well, that's what I said, in operation. Okay.
Not in operation.
No. No. I used to see it all the time. In fact, if you look through my pictures, if we go through our pictures at one time, I'll show you some pictures I took at Fireman's Park in Niagara Falls. With the CN, actually 2 CN cabooses on the back, if I recall that picture. But that was before the EOT, and of course everything that was EOT was just another technology as part of automation. You could say CTC. Something I love is CTC. Now CTC's been around for years, and I love dispatching a CTC panel. But when you look at it, even that technology got rid of a lot of manpower, because what happened was CTC took over for the towers. Like F Tower. F Tower was one of the last towers. I think there's still a few. F Tower is not the last one, but F Tower was one of the last busiest freight towers in North America that I'm aware of. And for us going back and forth to Fostoria, you've been there when there was an F Tower operator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember that. And I think it's been abandoned for 3 years now.
Yeah,
it seems.
2 or 3.
I remember we were there on probably about a month or so before it shut down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, of course, ATCS is something that we're really into. This just shows how sick he is, because he won't go out rail fanning with me because he doesn't want to stay in a car for very long because the seats are uncomfortable for him for that long of a stretch. Because he's got what do you got? Pull trapeze?
2 pulled trapezius muscles.
Yeah, which really isn't healing, which is kind of scary. How long have you had the muscles pulled? Because you started as a cold, then it went to bronchitis.
A week and a bit, I think.
Oh, it's been more than a week.
A week and a bit, not 2 weeks yet.
You haven't had 2 weeks yet?
No.
Really?
No, not quite yet, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe if your bronchitis settles down, then you got a chance for things to calm down a bit. But we'll see. But anyways. So yeah, doing this era. So the reason why I'm going through the history of railroads is the history of railroads really play into a lot of these games. Like when you take a look, quit playing with that hole, by the way. That hole's a lot bigger since you've been playing around with it. I'll have to get you. Yeah. I can't even I'm not even going to bother patching it up. I can put some duct tape on it so you won't play with it. But yeah, railroads. A lot of these games are based on the history of technology. When we play Transport Fever, you can start out in the horse and buggy era.
Oh yeah.
Which is I enjoy doing that. Anytime I enjoy starting out in those. Of course, you want to get into the better technology.
I usually start. I wanted to start in the 1900s.
Yeah, but when you start out in the 1900s, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
Because the railroads were already there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the dilemma for me gets into. The railroads were already there. So when the railroads are already there, you're not building lines. You want to build lines. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to build lines, you have to start at the beginning of the era.
Which I like. Because things like Transport Fever didn't force you to do that.
Huh?
They didn't force you to do that. I know the technology came along. I prefer the more technological trains, but I found earlier on they made it so hard to make a profit because they kept it on the same profit scale as later on. But I think if it was a different profit scale, because things were much different then than it is now economically, I would prefer to start at the beginning. But the way that Transport Fever did it, it's still the same amount of cash that you gain from a drop-off, if it's the same amount.
Oh, I see what you mean. I never thought of it that way.
And back then the ecosystem was booming. It was really a start of something that was promising. Now,
well, actually, you make more money. Here's the thing, Emmett, though, which I'm not too sure what you're talking about is actually legitimately true.
Mm-hmm.
What you used to make is a lot less.
I know, but it wouldn't cost as much for vehicles and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be a completely different profit level.
So in other words, everything costs the same to build? Are you sure?
Yeah, in Transport Fever, everything costs the same.
What? Give me an example.
Like if you were to drop off, let's say you have one car. It's like 10 planks you're holding on to, in like a box car.
Yeah.
You drop it off, you get the same amount of cash as you do later on.
Really?
Yeah. You get the exact same amount of cash.
Okay, I thought for a minute you were going to say a road cost the same as in 1800, or not. Well, there wasn't roads in 1800s, but whenever the road started, the dirt road does the dirt road cost the same as it does in the 1800s?
Yep.
It does?
I believe so.
I never noticed that.
I think it costs the exact same.
See how smart my kid is? I never noticed that.
And signals do too, even though there was the lower tech signals, they cost the same.
Really?
The whole way through, it costs the same amount of money.
Okay.
That's why.
So you understand. Now that you've mentioned that, you understand that back then, you could buy. I'll give you an example. I used to be able to have a meal at McDonald's for $6 Canadian.
Now that's a dream now, practically.
Now for me, it would cost usually, same amount of same tax level for the most part. Although the tax percentage is up a little bit here compared to then. That doesn't really play in as much. The fact is, it costs $12 for the same meal.
Mm-hmm.
Restaurant, going to Subway, each year, every year, they say 2% is the inflation rate for the most part. That's what economists like to, or people or government tries to push. So when everything goes up 2% a year and then compounds, then you see where, I remember my parents or grandparents, say, you used to buy, like phone calls, for example. Well, back in the day, it used to cost, or even arcade games. And this is a little before your time. I remember the time where you could put a quarter in, and then nowadays it's some of them
$2.
Some of them are to take $2 coins. It's literally gone up 4 times since the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So what I was mentioning with Transport Fever as well,
mm-hmm.
is the trains in Transport Fever, like the engines.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to buy the first engine at the beginning of like the very like I think 1800 is the farthest back you can go.
Yeah.
If you were to buy one train engine then, it costs the same as it does in the future. Like, past now, it will still cost the exact amount of money. Like, if you were to buy the first engine...
Is your mom going to try to call on my phone? She's not that crazy, is she?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I was just saying, sorry, I was just thinking, because your mom is eventually going to call me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
She'll probably call you on that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. Do you know your mom's cell phone number? Don't say it.
I don't know.
I gotta go. I'm gonna have to. Okay, never mind. She should be smart enough to call on this phone.
Yeah, she probably will.
Because I gotta get it through her head. I turned the damn cell phone off, and it's in my car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's gonna call on that phone.
Yeah.
Because I'm the taxi today, apparently. Go on. Sorry.
So the first engine you buy in 1800 costs the exact same as if you were to buy that engine in 2019.
Yeah, I know.
Insurance for Fever.
Yeah.
And if the costs were different, if it was more inflated later on,
yeah,
that would make me want to start at the beginning, because then you can make your profit right at the beginning, so that you can afford stuff later on. You can afford the stuff that's more expensive later on.
Mm-hmm.
That you wouldn't have enough for if you started then.
Oh, I see.
That's what would make a really good example.
Okay. Well, so starting in other words, starting in the beginning is not so bad. Now, I've told you all along what would get me what my pet peeves for Transport Fever. Those are some of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you still like it anyways.
Yes, we like.
Okay. For me, what and I've mentioned in this as well. For me, Transport Fever, the major pet peeves for me is the amount of micromanaging that's required.
That's one that I don't like to.
Oh, you don't like that either. Okay.
I just wish if you like, you have to buy the train, whatever, you have to decide what you're doing, but I wish it would go when needed, not like an actual route would go. Like, you can say, oh, go here to here on whatever day, and like you send a list for the crew to do, and then it's like, oh, okay.
So it's more demand based. Well, see, what happens is you're the owner of a railroad company. And I know some of the, like Hunter and all that other, before he passed and all that, and a lot of these owners are very hands-on in making decisions. Like, okay, we're going to rip all the humps out, and for whatever reason, I still don't understand the ripping of the humps out.
Yeah, I like the humps.
Well, yeah, but liking the humps and liking the railroads may not be economically viable if there's a legitimate reason behind it. I haven't understood why humps are better, but I guess it's more of a, yeah, I mean, hey, he's the one that made all kinds of money and fortunes and railroads, so I mean, who am I to argue? But yeah, and then torturing his labor force and making them ticked off at him. But so it's fine for a CEO, because technically you're a CEO of your railroad empire. It's fine to be hands-on, but you can also hire the right people if you have the right money, and they should be able to manage it properly. Mm-hmm. They should be able to make sure that scheduling is set up properly, or even when a certain investment's required, like, hey, we need to purchase so many, or you set the budgets. You set the budgets for, okay, this is for new rail cars, this is for new technology, this is for new this and that, and you let it go. But being a CEO and just making those kind of decisions and buying takes me away from the operation of the railroad, which I enjoy. I actually enjoy getting into the engines and running them. I enjoy dispatching. I enjoy those kind of things. So I guess you can be the CEO on a longer term basis, making decisions, but at the same time, if you want to step in and say, hey, yeah, I want to be the dispatcher today, Well, any CEO can do that too, and a CEO can, like if he's I guess he has to be legally qualified to run his own trains, but he can run a train if that's what he's interested in doing. But the point is, there has to be an AI built in to do this. But now you're talking, the scope of what you're talking really has to do with, and this is kind of why I looked at doing a dispatcher first, because that was the other pet peeve of mine with Transport Fever, is you build all these routes, or you buy all these trains, and some of them are faster than others, and I understand, you have to electrify some lines and some aren't, and some are, are more optimized for electrification, and some can't run, and some need more trackside lenience through bridges and all this other stuff for the catenary or whatever the hell you call those things. Yeah, for the electrical. So I understand that you need those certain resources, but I have a hard time picturing, like, how do I want to say this? I'm losing my train of thought. So you need those. Okay, you need those resources. I've lost my train of thought. Where was I, Emmett?
I honestly don't know where.
Oh, okay, I'm glad you're paying attention to me.
I was paying attention. I just
okay.
I don't know what you're going on about.
All right. So yeah, I'm stuck on resources for some reason. So you need to go in and you need to buy, whatever it is you need to buy, like electrical. Oh, okay. So we're talking. Let me go back. I was talking about the dispatching end of things. So I understand that you need certain resources or certain or basically need certain structures in to have the lines and the double track and triple track where you need it. Or buying certain equipment that's faster or slower. The problem with Transport Fever is it's not smart enough to know how to move a slower train over if you build the siding.
That's one thing that I wish it would do.
There is no such thing as a train overtaking another train. Yes, trains can follow, and yes, trains can meet. But there is no prioritize, hey, you're a slowpoke, sit in the siding even if you have to wait for two. So that's a pain. The time... Go on.
Here's a pet peeve that I have with Railroad Tycoon.
Yeah.
Railroad Tycoon. That involves what you're talking about.
Okay, well, Railroad Tycoon and Transport Fever is
Railroad Tycoon had moments where you would stop, right?
Yes.
But there's no sidings or stuff, right?
No, they just pull over.
But
they don't have the scale.
What I would want is, like, you know how you set priorities in Railroad Tycoon? How you can set the priorities.
Yes.
If you could do that in a game like Transport Fever.
Yeah.
And have sidings or even double track lines.
Mm-hmm.
You have this train that's like a faster train. I can't remember the names of the trains. I can't remember the labeling. But if you had an intermodal train coming up to, let's say, a tanker or an ethanol, you're gonna want to have the intermodal train going faster. It has better cargo that's gonna get you more money off of it, and it's also much faster.
Yeah.
So you would think that you'd have to make that decision on the go, or at least your dispatchers would have to make that decision on the go. It shouldn't be scheduled.
Yeah.
And Transport Fever has the schedule type thing.
Right.
So when you set a line,
yeah,
it's just scheduled. It has to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. It has to be the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It can't stop and wait for this train to pass. No. But
I'm listening.
If there was
I gotta get your mom. I gotta get my cell phone.
Yeah.
To call your mom. But go ahead. You can talk about it. I know what you're talking about.
A different engine that's faster, like a. I can't remember. An Alco, for example, and then you have a steam train, for an example.
Yeah. Go on.
You would have Bialco passing it. You wouldn't have the steam train.
Unless it was a high priority steam train or
high
something.
Priority passenger.
There was a bunch of rich guys on it or something.
But you would have whatever has more money or more speed going first. You would have whatever's going to make you more profit.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to go past. Like, for example, when we were on the Canadian.
Yeah.
We were side and siding in the Rockies.
Yeah, but we're smaller too than those trains. Sometimes they don't fit, and that's another thing that Transport Fever does.
Yeah.
You go ahead and talk about that for a minute and entertain them because I am going to get my phone out of the car.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
So we were in the Rockies and we're sitting in the siding because the intermodal train wouldn't fit and has more priority and is faster. Well, maybe not faster, but it just goes right past us because it's going to gain the company more money. For example, CP Rail, I believe CN. We were on CN Rail. They wanted the more prioritized train that they're going to make money off of to go first because it's VIA that owns the Canadian, I believe. But anyways, if a train were to stop in Transport Fever and wait for the other train to pass it, it would make a lot more sense. And it would enable a much easier system to make. You can make a much larger system without having backups or having a stall. And if that was in any game that's like a dispatching game or a railroad simulator of any sort, it would just be so much more realistic and more entertaining, I guess, because it's a lot easier.
So if and I missed a little bit of that because
it was me rambling on about the same thing.
Oh, you were just rambling on about the same thing.
Continuing
well, here's the other thing too, and it comes down to scale. And I talk about this in the message about the 1 to 30 scale or whatever. I don't know what scale Transport Fever at. It was actually a better scale than. I think it was a better scale than Railroad Tycoon.
It takes I think it's 3 minutes to get through a day or something like that, or it might be a minute to get through.
Yeah, but no. I don't mean so much that scale. Although I do have some issues with that as well. The scale is what I'm talking about. The scale is your length of trains, the size, everything scales. I particularly like 1-to-1 scale. Now the problem with 1-to-1 scale when you're building a network or an empire type game, you're talking vast levels of detail, which of course would never happen in a 3D simulator unless it was somehow linked to it. So, say for example, somebody builds a 3D train simulator, like Run 8, for example, and instead of being route slaves, unless they want to be route slaves, of course, their great simulator is able to tie into something. This is to me the missing, and I know everybody has their own agendas and they have their own ideas as to what a train simulation should be. The problem with train simulation in general is it's not as technically sound as other genres because it's not a popular one. You take, for example, flight simulators. And the reason why I got it back into flight simulation was I actually did enjoy it. But then it became very boring because the way it was described on their wonderful, I don't know what the hell it was, their advertising. Remember their advertising campaign?
Oh yeah.
Where people were you had tower operators and you had this and you had that, and it looked like it was such a freaking. And I got into that and I was just like, okay, where is everybody?
Oh yeah, that.
And I'm flying around, and I maybe I didn't look into it, and honestly, maybe I just got bored of flying a plane around again, and I realized, wow, because I bought Microsoft Flight Simulator way back in the day. Actually, I bought the original Flight Simulators. I think it was Sid Meier's, which is the same guy with Railroad Tycoon. Sid Meier.
Yeah, I think
he did. I think it was Microprose and that was his company. I think he did. I think they did the original Flight Simulator. But anyways, I remember because it was back in the. I was gonna say late '80s, probably. Yeah, I'll go with late '80s because it was on a Commodore 64, but then it was also on some of the older first, not the oldest ones, but the IBM compatibles, which is what they call this. This is called an IBM compatible because IBM used to be the standard for everything that you see in the PC today, unlike Apple, which is the only real computer competition out there for hardware. I mean, yeah, you have like what the hell we got. This is an HP computer, but it is an IBM compatible. That's the basis, and then eventually you got into 286s, blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, I can go through the whole history of them. But anyways, Flight Simulator back then was better than anything I'd ever seen, and it grew because a lot of people like planes, unlike trains. Planes are more socially interesting to people than trains are. I guess because they fly and people fly in them more.
It's kind of like an art, because you have a lot more recreational with planes.
Well, yeah, and people can participate in them. More people. You know somebody who's actually flown in one, or actually, I got to fly a plane once. That was really cool. I never thought I'd have the chance to do that, and I mean, I wasn't solo by any means. I was in the co-pilot seat, and this guy was getting his. He already had his solo time, but he needed time with passengers. And he wasn't. I don't know. He didn't have his full-blown license, or he had part of it, or something like that. But he needed more time with actual passengers. So I went with him, and we were flying above Port Robinson actually, and it was cool. I think I might have told you this, Emmett, because we're flying above Port Robinson, which is just south of here. And it's along the Welland Ship Canal and everything, and I'm getting interested in what he's flying over, and then all of a sudden, because I didn't realize it at the time, but he was lined up straight for St. Catharines because he was going to follow the canal right back to St. Catharines. That's when he said, "Hey, do you want to fly?" I says, "I'm allowed?" He says, "Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm still the pilot. You're the co-pilot." I says, "You're in the co-pilot seat. You can fly." I says, "Really? I can fly from this?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." and I knew how to do Flight Simulator, and I even mentioned, I says, do you have the aileron trim, because I knew about the trim for the because it was going up and down a little bit too much for me, and I was trying to level the altitude, and I had all that information in front of me, and this was like, oh wow, this is cool. Now obviously I would never been able to land it. I would have crashed us, but I mean, I've done that several times in the simulators, but the point of all that was people can get behind that a lot more and have the chance. I mean, I've been in engines and nobody. I mean, your little friends or whatever got to actually honk the horn, and I think some of them actually got to put into notch 2 and notch 3 or whatever. But I mean, I never got to. I don't even think I ever got to honk a horn on a train. But I've been in many cab rides, and that's cool enough for me.
I've been in one or two.
Yeah.
I think just one.
No, you just been in the one.
Just one, yeah.
Just the one at Fort Erie. I've been through Trillium, the short lines. I've been on lines that no longer exist here in town. So no, but this was, like I said, this was before. I mean, I could still probably get on the short lines, but then with insurance and Niagara Falls Yard. One of the first times I was ever on a train was in Niagara Falls Yard, which doesn't exist anymore for CN. And we were shunting cars, and I was just sitting in there, and it was cool. I didn't get to see much because back then it wasn't, it wasn't really a road trip. Actually, maybe the first trip was up north on the Bala sub when I was on that work train. But anyways, I'm getting way off topic. The point is, people that are interested in trains I have a hard time relating. Do you?
No. I have a hard time.
You have a hard time relating too. But for whatever reason, planes are more popular than trains. I guess it's just more accessible or more socially acceptable to like a plane than a train. Just like it's a lot more accessible to like a racing car. Not necessarily NASCAR, but actually being in a car that you can race. So racing games are very popular compared to Flight Simulator. But my point is, the Flight Simulator community has gotten behind it for years, and they've been able to create something that is a worldwide network. They have right now. I can go. I don't think I can. I don't know how the hell I can do it. I don't even know if I can do it with the Steam version. Quite frankly, I think that's a bunch of crap. But somebody can tell me if my Steam version can do it. Maybe I'll try it. But the way my internet's been lately, like, who knows? Speaking of which, how's my internet? Am I still on?
Probably.
Am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Okay. Because we're just yapping. Yeah, see, there's... Okay, it says I'm on, so... But, yeah, so... My thing, and I brought this to the guys over at Freight Yard Manager when I was involved. I said Freight Yard Manager, and have you really seen Freight Yard Manager?
I am yet to see it.
Okay, well...
I want to.
Oh, okay, well, I'm sure there's YouTube videos that show you.
Because
to give you some ideas. Okay. Freight Yard Manager is what I call the best railroad simulator on the planet. And I still say that to this day, even compared to Run 8. Run 8 is the best train simulator on the planet. And I've said this before. If you guys have heard me say this, this is my opinion, of course. Notice I haven't talked about Railworks, I haven't talked about Train Sim World, I haven't talked about Microsoft Train Simulator, I haven't talked about the Tycoon games. The Tycoon games don't even classify as railroad and train simulators, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't properly simulate the railroad network as they do more the economic side of things. But what I proposed way back when the RTS concept started, and the RTS concept has been around since Emmett was born. It's been around now probably close to 15 years, I think, and maybe more. To be honest, actually no, it's been 20 years.
Concept's definitely been around for a while.
It's been. I think it's. We're getting close to 20 years now, because it was in the Microsoft Train Simulator. Microsoft Train Simulator was revolutionary at the time. That brought me into the idea. It brought me away from the Siam simulators. It brought me away from the UK Train Sim, which was the first simulators that I tried. There was text-based simulators. There was simple 3D graphics with signals, and it was kind of cool. But Microsoft Train Simulator changed all that, because it was one of the first simulators that actually had not only a 3D simulator, but the capability of people being able to edit and create their own routes, which suddenly, not only create their own routes, but create their own rolling stock, create their own engines. You could do all kinds of things. And mind you, it was buggy as hell, especially the route editor. And it is still barely living today, because I hear it's dying. I've heard rumors that the community is kind of slowly going down now that all these other...
Yeah, it's a dying breed.
Well, there's all these other simulators out there, and the community has been desperate for something for a long time, but you have too many people that get into our train simulation, unlike flying's simple. Flying, okay, you might be into war aircraft, but see, flying is the same wherever you are. It isn't about pulling a thing of cars behind you. And yeah, you can get into the cargo side of things. You can get into the war side of things if you want to talk about fighting aircraft. There's war simulators out there where you can have battles and blow up other planes. World of Warcraft, yes. Yeah, so there's all kinds of there is some separate genres, but it's not as complicated. Anybody that has a really good flight simulator, and flight simulator has become the norm, but there's other ones out there, I'm sure, and I'm no expert on all the flight simulators these days because I've been out of the genre for a long time. But it's a lot easier to come together. My thing was trying to get people to come together, and I'm not a social person, but I am an organizer, and I'm one who doesn't like reinventing the wheel. I don't like wasting my time either. Life is too short. I'm in my 40s. I don't want to spend time just developing. I want to have fun. If I'm going to be in because I can't go outside because my son's hurt, or I can't go outside because it's too cold, that's kind of a lame excuse. Obviously, I can get dressed warmer if I really wanted to get outside, but I prefer not to. I prefer to wait till the better weather comes and not play around in puddles and dress up like a snowman. So. But this time of year, this is where I will tend. A lot of people get bored this time of year, especially when they can't get out. It's it's sunny and all, and that don't mean nothing. But I proposed to the freight yard manager community. I said to them, why can't we reach out, and I can create a link to Microsoft Train Simulator, because I was willing to create that link so that basically activities could be created. I forget how the hell I was going to do it, but I had a way, or some type of way to try to get in or somehow get my way into having the trains. Actually, I think it was creating activities based on the actual movements, and he was totally against it. He was totally against having any type of involvement with any other program or any interface or whatever, and he was strictly against it. And at that point I thought, well, great, you're the greatest railroad simulator out there, but you're never going to be linked, or we're never going to be coming together as communities. I tried to get the dispatcher community on board Run 8. A few people did. Michael Phillips. He's very prominent in him and I used to. I was looking at my Twitter. He's one of my first Twitter followers. So Michael Phillips is over probably on Depot, regular dispatcher over there. He loves dispatching. He's out of Fullerton, California area, and Rob Ball, myself, and Michael Phillips used to dispatch in Train Dispatcher. We used to dispatch. We did Train Dispatcher multiplayer, and that was something where we would hand off territories to each other and run trains, which was kind of cool. But I'll explain Freight Yard Manager for those that don't know what it is, and so my son can understand.
I do know what it is, but I just never.
Well, what makes Freight Yard Manager really cool is it simulates the actual yard. It derives from a program called Yard Duty, which is also still out there, and I think it's still in development or redevelopment or something. And what it does is it goes into I think I can download while I upload.
I think so.
Well, let's try that. Let's use the YouTube monster here. We're live now. Yes, we are. I don't know what this is going to. So, an introduction to Freight Yard Manager 5 years ago. So suddenly we get Freight Yard Manager installed. So James Hill, yeah, he's the. So, wow. You mean that's all I can find on Freight Yard Manager? Is it that dead?
Wow.
Really? Run 8 online private server. Huh. Okay. Streamed 5 months ago. Norfolk Southern Rail fan. Well, I don't know about yard duty, but let's try Freight Yard Manager for a minute. Unfortunately, there's not much.
James Hill Introduction to Freight Yard Manager. FYI.
Freight operations of the... Yeah, it's an older program, but holy crap. It's still used as far as I know. Okay, I'm going to mute. This is Freight Yard Manager. Now this is 5 years ago. So it was about sending trains to and from a network, like an email thing. So that's its start screen. But it's going to get into the screenshots of what they look like. So these are various locations, and you see the cars, Emmett?
Yep.
So you can create color codes and whatever. These are full yards. These are full 1-to-1 scale yards. And what it did was it was able. They had operating humps. So there's Barstow. That's the real Barstow. Kansas City. Let's just hold on a second. As real as it gets, and I understand why Barstow isn't. Okay. So for everybody who's with Run 8, they're familiar with Barstow. Barstow has has the shop yards. It has, like, I'm not even too sure here because now I'm a little confused of the yard here. There's supposed to be about 10 departure tracks. Oh, okay, that's the, they seem to still have a lot more tracks up here than I expected that they did. I thought they had 5. I thought everything on this side, now this isn't the receiving yard, this is the bull. In whatchamacallit, Run 8, although Folkestone does a really good job of it, and I think it's legitimate, you're only going to get, I think about 20, yeah, you get 20 tracks in Barstow. Here is the real legitimate track size. So see how big the bull is compared to the real?
That's definitely...
And the color codes, but look at some of these other yards. They're look, see, this is how it's the intermodals are working.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's cool.
So the colors it changes, and it's not 3D, but you like that, huh?
I love that. I love that.
And there's
style.
a train. See, there's a train going through.
Yep, I love that style. I have to be honest. I'd love to see North Platte or something.
Well, it's
like
probably in there.
Because North Platte would be nuts.
But see, okay, now look at the hump. See the hump?
Yeah, that's cool.
There's a train going through up on the north end. I used to be the hump operator over in what's that place?
That one in Detroit, Oakwood, I think.
Oakwood, yeah. I used to be the hump. I used to be the yard master at Oakwood, in Freight Yard Manager. So what happens in Freight Yard Manager is you basically became the owner of certain yards in the network. So you would pass trains and pick up trains and send them through the network. So if people were running trains, these are pretty much, you would run the throttle, you click on it and run it through. Once it goes from one side of the map to the other, see, there's the intermodal, the TCS terminal is loading cars, see them?
You know what's funny? I can actually see the UP and NS resemblances on the sides.
Well, that's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they are for. There's a coal the coal yard. Look at the coal.
Oh yeah. I really
No.
love that. I really love the style of the game.
Oh yeah.
I honestly do. You know how I play oh, what's that game? That's gonna bug me. I can't remember the name of the game, but it's
I don't know.
rail.
I have it.
Yeah, you do. I just don't know what it's called anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called anymore either. Do I have a desktop icon?
Yeah,
for
you have. I
it? Or
think
did
you
I
have
get
it on
rid of
desktop.
it? I don't know what it's called.
No,
No, you're the one that has it.
I have it. I know that, but I think you have it.
Is it Train Maker?
Yeah,
Pro?
Train Player.
Train Player, yes. Yeah, what about Train Player?
Yeah, I love using routes that are actually real world in that. The only thing I find is it's too, like, oh, you gotta run this train. Oh, you gotta run this train too. You have to actually run it on your own. But, oh, I really like the setup of Yard Manager.
Okay, so here's another question for you then. You like creating things. You like creating the tracks and all that other stuff. If the yard tracks and everything are already in play, what time is that? 12:14? I can't see the sun shining.
12:12.
12:12. Okay. So, say the infrastructure is already in place, and the network, or we agree to have a network that's, or let's just say there's multiple worlds, and some people have yards a certain way and some people don't. They join certain servers or communities or even single player worlds. But if all the tracks are already down for you and you get to decide what the economics are going to be or what industries are going to do what along the line, like say for example you're going to use, let's say for example Barstow, you're going to use the Barstow that's created because it works well, but you want to implement your own industries along the line somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or you want to decide, hey, I want to have this commodity ship, or I want to have this coal mine here, I want to have this. You want to change how things work a little bit.
Yeah, to try to make
you're
it
okay
profitable.
using other people's maps?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could create maps and then be able to upload them.
Oh, okay. So interchange them into your system at certain waypoints to your satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that would be really great.
See, this is where I still like some of the modern ways and even some of the older eras, like even if you go back to 60s or whatever, but I do like the modern era because that's what I've lived through. I don't know about you. How about you?
It's good. It's just good.
It's good, but it's all you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's all I've ever seen, so I can't really say.
And that's for me. I can't get into the Steam era, and the reason why I can't get into the Steam era is I never lived it. I've seen videos on it, and I think it's cool looking and all.
Well, I think it's cool.
But I wouldn't have a clue on how to run a Steam engine, nor do I want. And I shouldn't say that. I've run one in a simulator once. I forget which one. There was one of the simulators had a Steam engine. Maybe it was Microsoft Train Simulator, actually.
I think I know how, considering Derail Valley. That's the only way I know how. Anyway.
Well, yeah, but so having said that, because I'm very now 1-to-1. I want to be clear about 1-to-1 here. First of all, I'm not creating a 3D train simulator.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm interested in creating are the areas of interest. Do I want the trains to run in 1-to-1 time? Absolutely. Do I want 1-to-1 time? I want 1-to-1 economics. I want 1-to-1 area. I want real-time economics, real-time. Even if I have to pause the server, that's fine too. or single player. If if you're running your single player world and you decide, okay, I've had enough, I want to continue it off, or I want to let it run in the background and do its thing and come back later and see it changed and run something else or whatever, or even
like you could do in your
maybe you can fast forward it. If you're in single player, you can fast forward it. See, fast forwarding gets more difficult the bigger the world gets. So having an AI control, and it doesn't have to be all of North America, I don't think.
Just have it split into segments, so you can choose what segment you want to be in. But
yeah,
like have it split to a certain map that maybe someone creates.
Well, you can maybe you can create or use a portion of, or join a server and then link into other people's worlds.
Yeah.
So maybe the servers or the single players running them can actually control the AI of their own elements. This is why I wanted to start with the dispatcher. Because once I've started with the dispatcher, I now know how to manage the network traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you and I go ahead and do start the dispatcher side, and this is why I'm firmly believing that I have to. The reason why I say I have to start the dispatcher, it's not so much that I miss train dispatching. It's not so much that I'm looking for a replacement to Train Dispatcher 3. What I'm looking for, ideally, is something that eventually has the ability to allow me to introduce my AI concepts. Because I think it's important that if I'm going to do a one-to-one world simulator and I'm going to have it run in the background or run on its own in single player and function on its own without the micromanaging and the involvement of somebody else, but allow others to come in and play, I want to do one-to-one. I want it to be able to do it. It has to be able to dispatch itself. It doesn't have to be as efficient as a human, but it has to be pretty damn good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Certainly does.
And then,
or else it's just not
and in a network environment, I think more people would be interested in running the more complicated territories, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the territories that not only do people want to run the more complicated or challenging dispatch territories, but they also want to run the trains on them.
You know what I think would be interesting?
What's that?
If you had all of North America and certain servers or certain groups have certain areas.
Yes.
And once you come in, you decide what server you want to be on. You decide what server you want to help out with. And they can accept you or whatever. And they
can join different networks.
Yeah, and they can join different networks.
They can decide, so people can hook up servers. But I like the freight. See, this is where I like the freight yard manager, and this is where I wanted to take RTS after RTS dispatcher is done, which is doable. This is why I don't. This is why. Let me go backwards for a minute. I started this about. Doing RTS version 2. The only thing RTS version 2 is going to do is add economics to the current run 8. What do you think about that?
You know, I think adding economics to run 8 would be good.
Yeah. How far can you go with it?
Yeah, it's like you gotta take the ball and run with it. You can't just.
And you're dealing with 3 regions. And they're separated regions.
Yeah, like there's no connection between the regions, which is like.
Well, you could manufacture. Here, well, hold on a second now. One thing that some of the guys used to like doing, Scott actually does this quite a bit, is you can actually interact a simulation of trains that run from the northeast. Although a lot of that goes through Chicago, so it makes it very goofy. But there are a few trains that run up to New York City to LA.
Yeah, there's a few.
There's a
LA
few.
New York.
But they're mainly intermodal trains.
Yeah.
Which I don't care as much about. I just, you know, they're pretty much basic. Here we go from one terminal to the other. That's it.
For me, Run 8 would have to have connections between the different areas. I feel
Well,
like
there's 3 regions.
Yeah, I just feel like
But the connections are useless.
if you had a connection between the Florida and then the New Yorkish area, that would that's not hard.
Yeah,
It's
but
not too hard.
that's doable. That's the more legitimate connection, because there is a lot of traffic that does go up that way, although not much. It is CSX.
I mean,
That's the I-90 corridor.
I just feel like it would make more sense if it was
Connected.
intertwined in a way.
But at the same time, you know, you're connecting to servers that have to be part of it, and there's not that many servers out there anymore, and I don't know if that's enough to really do it.
But I feel like it may be able to pop expansion more.
No. See, hold on. That's where you got to understand the team behind these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And understand. And this is one of my pet peeves of Run 8. And it's actually a pet peeve that's shared by a lot of people. I understand why Run 8 is in its own little universe, an own little world, doing its own little thing, and keeping their own money to themselves. They're keeping the control to themselves, they're keeping the quality control to themselves, they're keeping the finances and the profitability to themselves. And it's their business. I've always told people, if you don't like Run 8, tough. It's their business. They can do whatever they want. It's up to people, I guess, like myself, even though I'm not very inspired, although you and I talking. If you're inspired to do something, you're the one that's got to say, Dad, instead of watching boring YouTube on wrestling, or whatever the hell we're trying to watch. Hell, I've been following Twitter lately. I never used to follow. I hadn't followed Twitter in years until this. There's a big thing in wrestling right now. But anyways, we've been following that lately, called AEW. But I know you guys aren't wrestling fans, so. But and we're having this conversation, and we've been doing this now for well over an hour. And we're having this conversation now, and we're going to end this in a few minutes.
Yes.
Because I'm getting hungry.
Yes, I'm here.
So, if I was to do this, I have a hard time supporting the idea of doing Run 8 or RTS version 2. Because until... And I didn't get to with the team. I'm sorry. I didn't finish what you were saying. You were saying that expansion would come along, that they would do expansion. No, they won't. I don't think I'm going to drive any interest into Run 8 by doing something. I'm only supporting the people that are already in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bringing... Hell, I tried to bring the train dispatcher community into Run 8. Michael Phillips I got in very early. But when we got when external dispatcher was starting to go, and I was trying to get dispatchers in the TD3 community to come on over and check out the real live dispatching of version 2, it was like a pin drop. Nobody was interested.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, they're not interested in that multiplayer thing, or they're not interested in sessions, or they want to do... A lot of people have different times to want to do things. So that makes me think that there is a lot of servers at one time, and know the team's not going to do it. The team is very tight, and they let so much information out. I suppose they probably let more information out to their buddies, but perhaps, I don't know, they share information on certain forums that I'm not a part of, perhaps. I hear there's talk in Facebook, which I don't belong to anymore. I haven't belonged to that in well over a year. But, and I remember I used to constantly check the just like I'm checking Twitter right now with AEW and wrestling. I used to constantly check Facebook when version 2 was coming, because that was the only place I could get the information, because Run 8 was not sharing it, but there were other people who were sharing it. And there was other people that were talking about it, and there was a Facebook group. And I remember getting more and more teasers as to what was coming. More and more teasers and information and conversations were coming out. So there was a buzz. There's no buzz for version 3.
There's not a buzz, it's just an inside thing.
Well, I don't know what it is.
If it's a thing at all, I would say.
I say that too.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Well, you're not an expert, are you?
I'm certainly not. I'm certainly
not.
Well,
I'm from what you've heard from me, and honestly, if they're trying to sell us that version 3 is coming and people are supposed to get excited, to me, the only thing they're selling is T-shirts, and and literally they're selling T-shirts. We joke about the wrestling companies that sell T-shirts. And that's this new company. I
thought it was a joke when we saw that first. Well, I thought it was a joke.
This is the it's all elite. Do they have a website now?
Yeah, they have a website.
Oh, okay. This is the new wrestling company. They haven't had a match yet, but yet they sold out because these wrestlers are independent wrestlers, and you can't. Where's their merchandise?
Merchandise.
Oh, there it is. See, okay. So they joke that they're a T-shirt company. Now we've been following this because what happens is they are constantly on media like YouTube, and they're on all the medias. Like for one, I still follow YouTube. I'm not on Instagram. I'm barely on. Well, I shouldn't say I'm barely. Now I'm following Twitter quite a bit. And I'm no longer on Facebook. I'm trying to get away from these things as much as possible, because I would much rather interact with stuff I own or stuff that I'm part of, as opposed to part of the whole general community. YouTube has been my entertainment source for years. Instagram, never got into it. I'm glad I didn't. Twitter, I just follow it because that seems to be where a lot of the conversations are, but a lot of people are pointing to Instagram, whatever. I don't know what the deal is between these two. To me, maybe they're bigger and they can do more stuff. I don't know. And Facebook, I could care less about. A lot of people have Facebook information. I don't care. I don't want to be part of Facebook. I don't need to broadcast my life other than YouTube. YouTube's fine. You guys are interested, come and see it. If you're not going to be bombarded by emails and information about my life, because guess what? You either click on the video to watch it or you don't. Or you click off, or you click yes, or you click thumbs up, whatever. So that's their site. Here's Run 8 Studios. Welcome to Run 8. Finally, the wait is over. And I know I'm mocking them. Finally, the wait is over. The future of train simulation has arrived. Yes, version 2 of Run 8 Train Simulator is now available.
That was like almost 2 years ago when it came out.
Yeah, and it was great.
And it's still up.
And it was great.
And they're still advertising it when there's talks about version 3.
Version 3 has been in development now for a year and something, and the last I heard was it was supposed to come out at the end of last year. Now, I know they've gone through health issues and blah, 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 blah. I understand, but if they would just trust the community or be more interactive with the community. I think they don't like criticism. They're very, because what happens is you get into a community or you get into a forum and all suddenly you get people who will criticize it. And they take it negatively. I made a joke one time when a train exploded and I got banned from their beta team or whatever. Because it wasn't a joke. I wasn't mocking the fact that it exploded. I was actually doing a video to show you how to get around it, but yet I was told that it put a negative light on Run 8 or something, and yeah. And I mean, like I said, I say this, I'll say it again. This is the best train simulator on the planet. And yet, here's our updates. And yeah, they're selling T-shirts somewhere. This is why I kind of... So, Seligman Sum, which I did not have. See, I'm not investing in any more of Run 8 until they get me if I believe it's long. I'm not going to spend money on something that I believe is dead or could be dying. There you go. There's your official Run 8 gear. That came out, and I don't know when the hell it came out.
That was like October.
Yeah, okay. So Waycross had their updates. The 6 Run 8 version 2 update. This was the last update in July. Back in version 1, we were having updates every 2 months. No developer is obligated to update their stuff. But if you want to keep buzz in a community, don't just stick to the popular forum. Just because it's the popular forum doesn't mean the diehards are there. Doesn't mean the ones who are willing to go into the trenches and actually code are there. I don't like coding. I really don't like coding. But this is the kind of thing. I mean, I have this board of what to work with. I don't have much to work with anymore, or enough. I don't know, enough. I don't have enough enough to really drive me that wants to create more for Run 8, because am I wasting my time on a dying product? Or a product that's going to take forever? And by rights, somebody should have came along and kicked their ass a long time ago.
Yeah.
There is no competition. It was like, oh yeah, there's Train Sim World. Train Sim World's a freaking joke.
It is. It honestly is.
Oh, you've seen it?
I've seen it. Literally all it is you drive a train.
Well, I know you drive a train, but that's train simulation now.
But it doesn't have dispatching. It doesn't have as good switch. It apparently has good switching. Okay, I haven't seen switching from it.
Okay, well,
but I bet you I prefer Run 8. I bet you I would.
Well, the
I
eye
like
candy's better.
I like the
eye candy's better. So yeah, they brought out heritage packs. They brought out this is the latest news on their official website. Not everybody has time in their lives to go through all the social media. Now, if they're on Facebook or if they're on a particular forum, this is the forum I go to. It's called Train Sim. Now, when you go into the forums, Microsoft Train Simulator is still the top supported one here, and you can see there's all kinds of different levels. This thing's been around for so long, and it's because the community has control of being able to produce it. Open Rails is something that uses Microsoft Train Simulator, and I believe has its own simulator built. Railworks is another one that still has a community. But everything is segregated. Train Sim World has one little forum post, and you look at the screenshots. I haven't looked at it for a while. If you want to take, if you want to go with, as far as eye candy is concerned, this is that's pretty good eye candy.
Yeah, it's superior eye candy to Run 8.
It's superior eye candy. The physics are, pretty much garbage. And there's no, there is a convoluted world editor if you can get it, apparently that they're trying to create when you want to get into other stuff. I mean, is that real? Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a real person. That isn't the simulator.
I think
That's the simulator. That's the simulator too, I think. Yeah, that's a simulator.
The first one may be the simulator too.
Really?
I couldn't say. Because I see a look that makes it look animated.
Really?
On the left it looks animated on the one car.
Wow.
That may be the simulator.
That's crazy if it is.
If it is, I have to give kudos to them. That's
well, yeah, and it's got the little letters. This is more European, but
that's British Rail.
So yeah, and that's some of the and good for them to have, trying to do stuff. I love the signals. They're to me they're superior to what Run 8 can do. The Penny route is the only train stuff I run now.
I gotta say, if that picture with the snow.
Look at that, huh? Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's nice.
But okay, great. They are the best eye candy simulator in the world. That's great.
What about physics? What about
operations?
What about dispatching? That's one thing
multiplayer.
They don't have, do they?
No, they run their own little. You basically, here's the thing with Microsoft Train Simulator, okay? And this is where Microsoft Train Simulator slowly began to eat away at my interest over the years. I'd get into it, I'd get out of it, I'd get back into it, I'd get out of it. Microsoft Train Simulator has an abundant amount of payware and freeware content available. So you can go and you can get all kinds of stuff out there for it. The problem with it is, in order to do anything with it, you're either in explore mode, which you're basically running by yourself and there's nothing out there, just you. No other yards that are packed, nothing, just you. You and your train. And you can go play and switch around your train or whatever if you want to, or you can run it from point to point if you want to, or flick any switch and you can run anywhere you want to. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Then there's the activities. An activity, I used to do lots of activities. So for those that think that I'm all talk and hype and don't want to do stuff to contribute, I did quite a few activities for Microsoft Train Simulator. Mind you, I did a lot of them I didn't release. Some of them I just got tired of. But I actually was willing to try. I ran train dispatcher simulations and tried to get the activities to work the way they work in train simulator, or not train simulator, train dispatcher, so that they were real world simulations of traffic you would expect. Now the activity editor is also a little buggy, but there's ways around it. There's little fixes and stuff. Their world editor is really buggy, but apparently there's ways around it. If you're patient and you back up and you do things, you can create some great routes. But it's a buggy piece of software that never really got developed. But still, it is available for people that, if they're willing to deal with the bugs, and if they're willing to create a bunch of activities, and if you have a hard drive that you can download tons and tons of railroad equipment and activities to your galore, you can spend a long time and it would keep you going. The problem is, if you're really into it and you have a lot of time on your hands, you're going to get really tired of Microsoft Train Simulator quick, like I did. Because when I had a lot of time on my hands, that was when I wasn't working full-time, I found I got tired of Microsoft Train Simulator quick. I got tired of downloading people's routes, and then you have to, some of the activities require payware. There was all kinds, and yes, you can go, there was software that you can sub in different ones and etc. I actually had some of that software. Paid for some of that software. But it is, you have to write the story. I always said I was the story writer. It's like reading your own novel. So if you basically write an activity for something that you love, well, you're basically running the activity. You know where the meets are going to be. You know what the switching is going to do. You know what cars you have to switch. You're basically doing the same thing over and over again. So it's like taking a video on YouTube or whatever and going play, fast forward, play, fast forward. You're doing the same thing over and over again. I don't understand at that point what the purpose is to build these wonderful worlds, wonderful engines, and all this other stuff. That's why Microsoft Train Simulator, I don't even rank as one of the top anything. If it's one of the I would, if I was to rank it anything, it's one of the top social train simulators. And I say social, meaning that anybody can get involved in it and be able to buy content or get content for free, download, use the other things. But as far as repeat playability, forget it. Repeat playability means how much can you download and how much can you create and run yourself. That's about it. Railworks, I can't say too much about Railworks and the others. Some of it's better than others, but you can see every year they come out with a different version, and I don't know where 2019 is, if it's being developed. Trains used to be interesting, but again, I actually have an older version of trains, but it misses either on the physics or it misses on the dispatching end of side of things. I think OpenRail has multiplayer. OpenRails has some type of multiplayer mod or something or other, but I don't know. But then you got your train sim communities, and Run 8 has this little section which is dead. Well, mind you, there's a little bit of talking. The last screenshot was Ezra, who's a big screenshot. He loves running, and he still loves it, and takes his pictures, and good for him. I'm glad anybody who likes it. He's got some great screenshots, and if that's what you like doing, that's great. This is my thread. I created this thread. This is one of the most active threads in Run 8 right now. For Run 8. It's 12 pages long. It started with my post, and it really talks a lot about what I was talking about. But anyways, I'm going to end this now because it is over. So
Because it is over.
we'll talk about it. Anyways, we'll talk to you later. I got to answer that. See ya.